Hello and welcome to Newscast News. I'm Andy Zajac. On today's report, we look into why the banks don't need to control fraud anymore. Yes, you heard correct. The banks don't need to control fraud. Now, let's take a look at why this could be happening. A company by the name of Major Financial Services has been a MasterCard and Visa processor for over 20 years. Recently, they filed a patent to stop fraud on all credit, debit, and ATM cards. So the banks no longer are being stuck with the fraud charges, and the consumer is no longer being stuck with the fraud. Does that make sense yet? Well, the bank only looks at patterns, and actually the control of the system is in the card holder's hand. With a simple one-button approval or denial of a transaction on a cell phone. Now, transactions are not being controlled by the banks. It's in the hands of the card holder. This makes the card virtually 100% fraud-proof, and that is the purpose of the AFC or anti-fraud card. What happens when there is fraud? Well, the banks usually end up paying for the fraud. So the anti-fraud technology makes the cards profitable. So you may be asking yourself, well, how does this work? Let's take a look at some examples. A card holder walks into a Home Depot, gets his purchases, goes to the checkout, presses a button on his smartphone, then runs the transaction. It is approved. All other transactions are rejected. Interesting. Let's take a look at another example. A person buys a product over the internet. He is in the process of checking out. He presses the button on his smartphone. Then he completes the checkout, and of course the transaction is approved. All other transactions are rejected. As a third example, that consumer goes back into the same Home Depot, and the consumer chose to keep his Home Depot on file to approve again. So this time, he does not have to use the button on his smartphone for the Home Depot again. He could choose to do this anytime or take it off at any time. Now, the technology is there, and consumers have the confidence to have purchasing power over the internet or anywhere else without worrying about theft. We'll have to keep an eye on this patented service. It really is unique. And that's a report. Thank you for watching Newscast News. I'm Andy Zajac. See you next time.